What's going on, guys? Back again today doing another video and DC Batman related. This is going to be about Batman The Adventures Continue. So, for those of you that don't know, this has been out for pretty much a year now, in like single issue comic book form. Uh, this is a continuation of like the Batman the Animated Series. It takes place in the same universe and continuity as the DCAU. So if you're a big fan of that from when you were a kid or even just as an adult, this is probably going to appeal to you a lot. The DCAU is by far my favorite iteration of DC. It's so complete and so cohesive with its narrative and its characters and their arcs and development. It's just the most well put together version of DC. And I'm really happy that it's not dead. We're getting more of it, and I'm totally fine with it being in comic book form. I will read comics all the live long day. So they started it with this series, Batman The Adventures Continue, and this is season 1, so I guess it's like the first year's worth of the stories. It's pretty good. This video is probably going to be actually rather short because I loved this. It's introducing elements into the DCAU continuity that we never had before. One of my favorite things about the DCAU and just any DC animation adaptation in general, most of them anyway, is I did a video on my channel a few months ago called the filter effect. And what the filter effect is, it's like when the most base form of the source material gets put out, it's kind of like a rough draft. But then later on down the road, when video games get made or animated shows get made or animated movies or live action movies get made, the people making these adaptations, the shows, the movies and stuff, they have the luxury of going into the source material and kind of putting it through a filter, and the filter prevents all the stuff from the base source material that was really kind of or even just downright, and just keeping it out and only letting through the good stuff, the stuff people really liked, the stuff that was really well received and popular and everyone enjoyed. So that's basically what we're getting here. The DCAU, for the most part, ended back in I think like 2006. There have been some animated movies that have come out since then that take place within that continuity, but for the most part, to have like a running, some kind of running story in that universe, in that continuity, it ended back in 2006, and since then a ton of DC storylines and comic book source material has been published, and over 10 years worth, and so, and as a matter of fact, in 2026 it'll be 20 years worth. So uh, yeah, there's a lot of new source material that these people have the benefit of kind of looking at and sort of cherry picking just the good stuff out of it, making slight tweaks and adjustments to it so that it fits into this continuity, and then, yeah, putting it in here. So, great example of that, and this does it perfectly. Some new additions that we get into the Batman animated story that were not there before. We're getting characters like Deathstroke introduced, Azrael, and then the biggest one you could probably see from the back is Jason Todd. Jason Todd was never touched on or acknowledged in the Batman animated series. They went right from Dick Grayson to Tim Drake, and this is actually kind of this is introducing Jason Todd and revealing that he was really a part of the DC animated universe continuity. He's part of Batman's history in that universe, in that continuity. And what they do here with Jason Todd and his introduction, it's nothing radically different, but it didn't need to be. The Jason Todd story is pretty good in terms of his return, and I'm glad that they didn't try to go back and retroactively put a giant amount of added story in there where he was Robin. They touch on it. They tell the history of like, oh yeah, he was Robin and he behaved like this and this is how Bruce met him. They tell that story in like flashback. Alfred's telling Tim Drake about it, but they don't actually show it, because, and that's good, because as we know from the comic book source material, Jason Todd as Robin was not super well received. As a matter of fact, like, for those of you who don't know, when the time came to kill him in the comic books, they actually put out a vote like fans could write in or telephone in, I think, and vote, should Jason Todd die or should Jason Todd live? And the fans wrote in and said, kill that fucker. And they did. They killed him. They had the Joker kill him. And then they brought him back years later with the whole Red Hood arc, and that was really well received. People really liked that aspect of it. And so that is done again here. And it's not super, like I said, it's not, there's nothing radically different about it. It's just nice to see it in the DCAU continuity. And for those of you don't like old stuff being repeated, then this might not be for you, but I was not disappointed by it. I was happy to see them finally touch on this facet of Batman's story. Other than that, a lot of his rogues gallery are in here, Penguin, Joker, and whatnot. And overall is a solid start, solid season 1 to this continuing the Batman the Animated Series in comic book form. The very last story arc of this is kind of a throwaway Christmas story about the ventriloquist and Harley Quinn and the Joker, and it's a little cringy and kind of just like meh. But like I said, it's just a nice little fun Christmas story just tacked onto the end there. The real story here ends with, I want to say, like issue number 7. So issues number 1 through 7 are the important part. Issue 8 and beyond after that, it's issue 8. That's the last one. That's the Christmas one. That one's kind of like whatever, but it's fine. It's just an end of the year Christmas story that they added onto it. And this was actually so well received and became so popular that they've renewed it for a season 2. I have the first issue of season 2 up here. I'm going to be reading this soon, and I will start trying to do regular videos on the Batman Adventures Continue series and giving my thoughts on those. Another thing I love about this and why I'm going to be able to do regular videos on this is because this is comic books in an easy to follow format. For those of you who don't know, I put another video up recently talking about how not only is Batman the Animated Series back in comic book form, they're going to bring back Justice League. In DCAU, DC Animated Universe Justice League, in the form of a comic book called Justice League Infinity, and it's going to continue the stories of the Justice League where Justice League Unlimited left off. This is great. This is 2 comic books a month that I have to read to understand everything that's going on in this universe. That's super manageable. It doesn't take up a lot of my time, and it's not a whole lot of information that I have to absorb and remember. And even if this does really well and it continues to go even further, and they give us a Superman comic book, maybe even a Wonder Woman comic book, that's still totally fine. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League. Like, that's easy. That's easy to do. 4 comic books, 1 a week, not difficult to follow along at all. I would almost be willing to go a little bit further than that if they wanted to do like a Suicide Squad book in this universe, or I don't know, maybe they kind of, in reading volume 1, it almost kind of seems like they are teasing like the idea of doing a Harley Quinn storyline, because they don't cover it, but they acknowledge her and Joker splitting in this comic book here. So maybe with the success of the Harley Quinn animated show it's on HBO Max now, but it was a DC Universe streaming exclusive. But with the success of that show, I think maybe they might try to go that route, but that's still not bad. You're looking at, even if they did that, you're like, at the max they could do Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, their Trinity, and then they could do Justice League. And if there was a Harley Quinn book tacked on there, that's 5 titles that you have to read and keep track of. That's still super manageable, as opposed to what they've got going on now, which is like 4 different Wonder Woman books alone, 4 different Batmans, 4 different Supermans, just like way too much shit. And I'm not gonna read it all. I don't have the time nor the interest, really, because they have really just fucked up their main comic book universe one too many times, taken it apart and put it back together in an attempt to please both fans and the creators and get everybody on the same. They've taken it apart and put it back together one too many times, and they've just gone in really crazy, wacky directions that I don't care for. But that doesn't bother me because, like I said, the animated universe is the most cohesive, well done, comprehensive version of the of DC. So the fact that it's not dead, we're getting more of it, and we've got a main title for my favorite character, Batman, and then we've got Justice League stories coming. Good in my book. But I really recommend this if you're just a fan of Batman, if you're a fan of the DCAU, if you're a fan of just Batman the Animated Series, or if you're like me and you kind of feel that like DC Comics has just gotten way too crazy and it's just like not worth it anymore. Maybe I highly recommend giving this a shot, especially if you already are familiar with all the DC animated universe lore and story. Then this is going to be easy. Even just the Batman stuff. This takes place right after New Batman Adventures, so he has met Superman. He has not met the Justice League has not come together yet at the time period of this. So it's still pretty easy to get. It's easy to get into. It's easy to follow, and the stories are good and they are entertaining. I cannot recommend it enough. I'm really glad DC is pursuing this farther. So yeah, like I said, probably a very short video, but it's good shit. So anyway, if you liked the video, please hit the like button. Check out some of my other videos. Do not forget to check us out on Twitch. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.